Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is basically going to be a 2019 recap video because it has been 6 months since I uploaded my Where Have I Been video, which I'm sure most of you have seen, where I kind of explained what had been going on with me and why 2019 was just kicking my ass at the time, and I really wasn't doing very well, and I'm very aware that when I filmed that video I was still not doing particularly well, which I'll go on to elaborate on, but I was kind of, you know, getting better, but I was still very much like in a dark place, and that's why when I watched it back the other day, it made me cry for one, but like I was just very aware that there were some things that I wanted to elaborate on now that I've got the gift of sort of a few months to have recollected myself, not even recollected myself, like, you know what I mean, like it's been a few months since I filmed that video, and I really wanted to film an update to that and just sort of talk about 2019. So basically that's going to be this video. It doesn't really have a format, it's just going to be very chatty, as are all of my videos, you know, so yeah. This video is obviously going to be quite serious. If you'd like a sort of New Year's resolution video to go up, like in the new year, like early in the new year, where I sort of talk about you know, like the resolutions that I've set myself this year and the ones that I set last year, give this video a huge thumbs up. But without further ado, let's just get on into this video. Before we start the video, I have a very exciting announcement to make, which is something that I've had in the works for like a long time, but I just didn't really want to say anything about it till I uploaded this video, because basically when I filmed that first video I was very aware that I'd been really lucky and that when I went to get help, my university and my college, you know, were really helpful, and I got, you know, private help, and I know that that is not a possibility for so many people up and down the country. The NHS is stretched to breaking point, and obviously mental health provision is just shockingly bad on the NHS. They said that I would have to have waited like 5 months for an appointment, which when you're at a crisis point is just not on. And that's why I've decided to do a sort of fundraiser for like my birthday, which is in a couple of weeks, / New Year / Christmas. Basically a fundraiser for Mind UK. I'm sure you've all heard of Mind UK. They're such an important charity. I will leave links down below so you can have a look into the work that they do, but it's a charity that's really close to my heart, and it would really mean the world to me if you guys could donate. So the ad revenue from this video and from my storytime video are going to be going into the fundraiser anyway, but it would mean the world to me if you have any spare change, like any Christmas money, if you could click the link in the description and just give a little donation. It doesn't have to be loads, and I'm not really going to set like a target of what I want to raise. I would just be grateful to raise any amount of money for Mind UK. They're an incredible charity. If you guys could share this video, share the fundraiser with your friends, it would genuinely mean the world to me, because I'm so aware that there are so many people out there that are not fortunate enough to have instant access to mental health provision, and it's just as important as breaking a leg or falling ill physically. Like falling ill mentally is so like just the same. But yeah, as I said, I'm not going to set a target. Obviously all of the ad revenue I will put in like at the end of the fundraiser, which is probably going to end like just after my birthday, so around sort of the 11th 12th of January. And I would really just be so grateful if you could just stop this video, pause it for a second, yes you pause, go down and donate, because I really think we could make a difference. And if you can't donate, then just watch the ads all the way through on this video, because all of the money is going to Mind UK, or share it on your social media or tweet about it, like tweet the link to the fundraiser. I don't know, like anything you guys can do will be so appreciated, and I really hope that this is like the best birthday present you can give me, in that we can raise like a fair bit of money for Mind UK. If it's £100, if it's £1,000, I don't mind, but I'd be really grateful, and of course I'll update you on the results like when we finish the fundraiser. So on to the video. Oh, I literally don't want to film this. Like I do, but I really, it's like such a hard thing for me to talk about. I think I did touch on a couple of things in my Say It or Shot It video with Jamie, like kind of, but in like kind of a light-hearted way, as in like, oh, like I was joking about it and stuff. So that kind of like broke the ice for me. But obviously, you know, when it comes to like mental health, it's something that's really hard to talk about without getting upset. No, I'm not gonna get upset. I'm not gonna get upset. So, okay, where do I start? So obviously I said in my last video, I gave like the outline of the story, you know, like but I was very, very elusive, and I'm gonna remain like pretty elusive just because, you know, you don't need to know the ins and outs of my personal life. But basically I started to feel rough around this time last year. So around Christmas I was kind of noticing that, like, I don't know, like you feel like you're there but you're not really there. And then I started to get really intense, like as the year went on, started to get really intense like periods of disassociation. And basically disassociation, I can't really describe it. It kind of feels like you're not in your body and you're kind of like watching everything, and that like you're kind of walking and talking and experiencing emotions, but your actual physical self is doing that and your mental self is just sort of in a box somewhere, like watching it happen. It's like your life kind of becomes like a movie where you're not really feeling firsthand your emotions, that you're watching them happen in front of you. I will try and leave some links about disassociation down below. Mine was probably comparatively mild compared to what some people get, but I had a couple of weeks in, especially February and March, where I was just a floating, like, head. Like, I genuinely was just not even there. It was really scary for me because I thought I was just being really ungrateful and just not experiencing the university lifestyle like I should be, and I was beating myself up for it so much. I was literally there like, Eve, why can't you just be present? Like, come on, Eve, like you're paying £9,000 a year for this and you can't even pay attention in lectures and stuff. I was just drifting. Like, every like night out we went on or thing that we did, it was just like I wasn't really there, and I was kind of just floating through the days, and I was getting my work done and everything like that, like that's fine. But I really did not feel like myself. Like, I cannot express to you how not myself I felt. Like, people I was friends with at the time, I mean, still am friends with most of, but like, I was literally like to them, I just feel like you don't know me. Like, you this isn't me. Like, you're not talking to me. And they were like, what do you mean? I was like, I don't really know how to explain, but I just feel not myself. And that was kind of like January, February time. If you look at my vlogs, I think you can kind of tell, and I do talk about it like in a couple of them, I think, like really vaguely, but my naive self was just so unaware of like what that was. I thought I was just having a bit of a rough patch in terms of like work and stuff. And yeah, so January, February, March kind of went like that, like Hillary term, and I thought it was because I was vlogging for a while. I don't know why I thought that, but when I got in the car to come home from Hillary term, I was so low and down. I just cried, like sobbed like all the way home, and I felt so empty. And my mom was like, I'm really concerned about you. And I thought, oh man, I'm just exhausted. Like, you know, let me just tell you that it's not that at all. Like, you can feel tired after a university term, but that wasn't even tired. And I'd really been struggling with my health in Hillary term. So I got the flu in like October the year before, and I never really recovered from it, but I had a really bad cough. But my dumb ass was like, oh, I'm just too busy with everything else, and like, it's just a cough. But little did I know that that cough was actually an underlying chest infection, and that was why I felt so fatigued, so tired. I had headaches all the time. Like, I was just dizzy a lot of the time. My chest was so weak, like so weak, as in I couldn't even walk up the stairs without running out of breath, and it would keep me up, so I wasn't sleeping properly either. And that kind of went on, you know, on and off for the whole of Hillary, and I was like living on flu tablets. It was actually so bad. I was having like flu tablets for like weeks at a time. Like phenolphthalein messes with your head. Like, phenolphthalein for me, even now when I'm like feeling better, I have to avoid it because it makes me so anxious and trippy and really out of it, like really out of it. And there was a week, and oh my gosh, there was a week in February where I was having the worst week. I honestly, like, I don't even want to talk about it. It was such a bad week. My disassociation was like off the scales, and I took max strength Sudafed for a week. And genuinely, guys, like, there was just a point where I was like, I've transcended my body. I feel, I was a shell. I was an absolute shell. I didn't know what was going on. And that was the week where I had my first panic attack, like proper panic attack. I've had like panic episodes before, but that week I went to a like event. It's kind of like a politics event, like a debating event, and something happened there, and that was it. It just sent me, and I completely freaked out. I just lost complete control of my breathing. I thought I was spiralling, I thought I was going to die, I was sweating, it was horrible. And it was like a really long one as well, and that was the point where I was like, holy moly, like something is really not okay here. But I was just so wrapped up in how poorly I was and just like everything else that was going on that I was like, oh Eve, like you're just being dramatic, go home. So what did? I went home for the weekend as if that was gonna resolve everything. I did this so many times, like I just went home as if that was gonna like magically dissipate the mental problems. Like so stupid. But yeah, so I went home for the weekend and I just like switched off like all of my social media and basically just like put myself in a shell, went for a walk with my mom, and I tried to explain to her what was happening, but like I just couldn't really put a finger on what it was. I was so confused and so dazed from all of the Sudafed and the dissociative episodes and the panic attacks, and I was literally like, okay, like what is going on? And I thought, oh, maybe the Oxford life is just not for me, and I don't know why I was blaming it on the work, because it just wasn't the work at all. Like my work really didn't, like it suffered in that, like when I wrote that essay on the Sudafed, mate, it was just, I was just high as a kite, to be fair. But yeah, like it just wasn't the work, like it just wasn't that. And I thought that it was so many other things that were going on, like tiny little disagreements I was having with people, and I was like, it's just not that though, is it? It's just not that. And I don't think that the health situation like helped, because I was really mentally unwell but also really physically unwell. Like it was so bad. I don't know why I didn't go to the doctors. I think I'm just too proud to admit that I'm poorly, both mentally and physically. So I was like, oh, for God's sake, Eve, like just get a grip. I like soldiered through to the end of Hillary term. If you actually look at photos of me from that time, like I'd gained like quite a lot of weight as well, like around my face especially. And like my weight fluctuates so much naturally, so much. I honestly, like I'm like a yo-yo, just because of my metabolism. But basically I gain like a fair bit of weight, like a fair bit more than I would normally gain. And that was just making me feel like rubbish as well, and that was because I was eating so much, because I just felt so down all the time that I was like, oh, comfort food, like what's one thing I can do? I can eat. So I was like really mentally struggling, really physically struggling, and I like dragged my way to the end of Hillary term, like second term, and I got home and I just collapsed in a heap. Like I was so tired, and I was just like, okay, the VAC is going to be better. The VAC is going to be better. I've stopped vlogging. I've taken that pressure off. I'm going to lose all that weight that I gained. And like my dumb ass, I'm going to say my dumb ass in this so much because I was just a dumb ass, did 2 weeks of work experience at Sky the day after I got back from term. So I came home from term for one night and then I went to London for 2 weeks. I loved that work experience. I really did. But I just don't know what part of me like thought that was a good idea. It was really fun, to be fair. I don't particularly regret going, but then when I was in London, another unhealthy habit from the past resurfaced, and that was basically when I was younger. I have spoken about this in videos a couple of times. I did have a lot of problems with eating and like mental image around body, and like really bad body dysmorphia and loads of other like eating sort of habits and problems that were never diagnosed as an eating disorder, but they essentially were. Like looking back, I just know that they were. And when I went to London, I was like, right, this is the perfect chance to lose weight. Like I'm controlling my own diet. But the issue was I was staying in a travel lodge, so I was having to like eat a hot meal at lunch and then like a cold meal for dinner, if that makes sense, because I had nowhere to cook. And I literally just starved myself for the 2 weeks, basically. Like I just didn't eat, and I lost the weight like relatively quickly over the back. But that was like, again, it was this, like my mind was like spiraling out of control, and the only way that I thought I would have control over myself was to like stop eating, because I could control my weight. So my weight was something I could control, my academics was something I could control, you know what I mean? Like everything that I could control, I started to like grab onto. Like I didn't realise it at the time, but now looking back, like there are a few aspects of my life that I was trying so hard to control, because I knew for a fact that there were many aspects of my life that were spiralling quite quickly out of control, and it was just not a vibe. Anyway, so I got back from London, and the VAC just kind of kept going. I was just doing work, to be honest, like mainly just revising for prelims, and as I said, academics is something I can control, so I was just doing all the academia for like so long, and yeah, so I just kept doing that, and that was just kind of going like blah 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 blah. and then I went to Harry Potter World with Liv. I don't know why I remember this so much, but I went to Harry Potter World with Liv and I wasn't really feeling like good. I was feeling a bit dodgy that day. And then I like got on the train back and I felt like I had been hit by a truck. This was the chest infection, by the way, which was still there. This was the chest infection, and I couldn't breathe. My lungs, at this point, my lungs were like so like weak. It was a joke. Like, I was just struggling to even run for the train, and I got really dizzy. And I got back and I just was like, I can't. And I was supposed to be going for work experience with ITV the next day. Bearing in mind, you know, my academics, my career, it's really important to me and I'm a really hard worker and I would never, ever, ever want to miss an opportunity like that. And I got home and I was like, Mom, I can't go. And she was like, what do you mean? I was like, Mom, I can't go. And she's never heard me say those words before when it comes to something like that. But I knew that I just couldn't do it. Like, I just couldn't go. There was just no way that that was going to happen. You know, I literally just said to my mom, I'm not going. Like, I can't do it. And that night we spoke about it and I was like, right, I'm going to ring the GP. What did I ring the GP for, guys? What did I ring the GP for? After 5-6 months, the chest infection. Did I even, everything that was going on in here, I was like, nah, we'll solve the chest infection. That'll solve all the problems. Anyway, so I finally rang the GP the next day after 6 months of having a chest infection. By the way, it's on the way back now, just so you know. Great. I'm gonna go to the GP though straight after Christmas is done. But yeah, so I went to the doctors about this chest infection. They diagnosed it as a chest infection. I got an inhaler, I had some steroids, and that was a fun time. I took steroids at like 10 PM that night thinking, oh, let's go. Nobody told me that steroids have got adrenaline in. I did not sleep that night and I had Big Beauty Day Out the next day. If you met me at Big Beauty Day Out, I'm sorry, I was absolutely out there. I had not slept, I was on flu tablets, shocker. I was just really, really disassociative. I was having one of my biggest dissociative, it was a state. So if you met me at Big Beauty Day Out, apologies. But yeah, so that was fun. But now I was like, chest infection is on the mend. I am on the mend. Life is going to be good. Trinity is going to be good. Everything is going to be vibey. Let's go. It wasn't. So that kind of came to an end and things in my personal life were starting to get a little bit, I was a bit like, Do you know when like, you know when you have like a premonition that you're about to get like slapped in the face with like a really big personal issue? Like, that was basically where I was at, and just things were just a little bit So I went back to uni, and the day that I moved back into uni, it was like end of April, I think, I finally said something to my mom. I said, like, I just don't really feel right. Like, I can't really explain it, but I just don't really feel happy ever. And that was so true. Like, I just didn't feel happy. I couldn't really feel, I had no emotional range. I was just sort of all the time, either or really sad, and there was no in between. And I said to her, like, I just don't feel good. And I'd been having quite a lot of panic attacks as well, like over little things. And I hadn't really told anyone about the panic attacks though, because I was a bit like, oh, that's a bit, you know, Eve, stop being a drama queen, like, you're just being melodramatic. And I said to my mom, like, oh, something's not right. And she kind of said to me, she was like, well, you know, like, depression kind of runs in the family, so does anxiety, so just keep an eye on it, and if by 3rd week you're still not feeling good, promise me you'll go to the GP about it. Me going to the GP, yeah. So I being like very set on the fact that I just was not going to go to the GP, was like, yeah, like, it's fine, the sun's coming out in Trinity, it'll be fine, it's summer, and when the sun comes out, we have a great time. I'm actually dumb. Like, I am dumb. I am thick, stupid to think that that was just going to magically resolve all of the situation. I don't even know. Anyway, so term starts. I've already spoken about this, like, fair enough. You know, and you already know what happened, basically. I had some very, like, really rubbish things going on in my life. My family member was, like, really ill. As most of you have surmised from the last video that I uploaded, I was having some boy problems, and wow, Eve having boy problems, shocker. I think you guys have all like guessed that at this point, so there's not really much point in me saying it. And then around 2nd week, the boy problems imploded. All of my mates like were just having like simultaneous problems as well that I was trying to deal with, so I was trying to fight all those fires. And then I just was like, okay, now this is blown up in my face. So I was having a really, really rough time, and then I thought, now I'm sad because of the boy problems. Eve, oh my gosh, wake up and smell the coffee. You are not sad because of that. You are just sad. You are sad all the time. So my dumbass continued to just carry on, and like my mates were so good. Like my uni mates were so good when everything kind of went wrong, and like they were amazing and like whatever. My anxiety, which had right now kind of just been panic attacks, and like I think it's been quite latent in me since about GCSE, like just in my thought patterns and stuff, but then my anxiety came and just was like, hi, hello, hi, bonjour, hi, nice to meet you, hi, and I was like, okay. Suddenly my thought processes went from like a little bit control-y to like borderline, not even borderline compulsive, to compulsive. Like my behaviour was compulsive, my thoughts were compulsive, and I was just getting these really intruding thoughts. Basically, like I was in a situation where I didn't really know how it was going to pan out, and most normal people, if they're in a situation where they don't really know how it's going to pan out, they'll be like, well, I'm not going to know for a while now, so I'm just going to get on with my life, and we're just going to vibe it out and we'll see what happens. No, I was not doing that. I was running through a bajillion different scenarios about every single aspect of my personal life that was going wrong, not just the boy troubles, but like literally everything, and I was there like running it over and over and over and over and over in my head to friends, just constantly, all the time. I was so anxious. I was really into everything, like everything everyone was saying. I like just started to just stop really like going out. I was like, I don't want to talk to anyone. I was having panic attacks just about everything at this point, like genuinely, like, and I was just like, and that week I missed an essay, so I was so panicked and so stressed. I just rang my mom. I was like, I can't breathe, I can't do this essay, and it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. And I was like on the phone. I was in an absolute state. I was so low mentally. Like I was really like really upset about everything that was going on with me personally, and I was just, oh God, I literally feel like my chest is tight just thinking about it. And my mom noticed a pattern here, said you need to go to the doctor, like you need to go to the doctor. I wrote an email to my tutor let me off the essay, thank you to my tutor if you're watching, and she was really understanding. And I missed the essay. I missed an essay. Eve Bennett, missed an essay. Wow. I mean, that's never happened ever, and I don't think it will ever happen again. But that's how bad I was. Eve missed an essay. Like, did not write the essay. Didn't even write a plan for the essay. Was not in a mental state to even compute the essay. Thankfully, it was a text that I didn't end up doing for my exam, so it was okay. But yeah, it could have been a lot worse if I had not gone to the GP. But then I went to the GP. This was the horrible bit. Was I went to the GP, and the GP was so dismissive. In fact, the GP just confirmed all of the horrible anxious thoughts that I'd been having, calling myself a melodramatic idiot, like saying, oh, it's all in your head, like people have it way worse than you, like just get over yourself, you're just annoyed about this, like, I was like, oh, you're just upset about this boy, or oh, it's just your exams, or like whatever. And I was like, yeah, you know, like you're not anxious, like you're just being stupid. And obviously, because I was actually anxious, like these thoughts were like spiraling. I don't know if this makes any sense. Like if you're anxious, you'll probably get it, but like your thoughts just go over and over like a treadmill, like a wheel in your mind, and they're just so like just numerous, and like they just won't shut up, and it's horrible. It's the worst thing ever, and oh God, I really hate it. And and so I went to the GP, and I was like, hey, I'm really not doing very well, and like I looked like I was a mess. I was an absolute mess. I don't know how the GP like just sort of looked over this, but he was like, oh yeah, well, you know, like it's exam season, and you know stress is very high among Oxford students. I've had lots of people coming to me like saying that they're not doing very well and whatever. And he was like, you know, do you have a history of mental illness in the family? I was like, yes, like a very strong one actually. And he was like, oh well, come back to me in 6 weeks time. And I'm like, I'm at home in 6 weeks time. He was like, well, I don't really think anything's particularly wrong, like, I think it's just stress, so you can always try the Oxford Counselling Service. I was like, the wait time is 8 weeks for the Oxford Counselling Service, like I don't know what you want me to do until then. He was like, have you tried meditation? I was like, shut up, you know what I mean? Anyway, so I left that GP's office being like, well, that's confirmed it. I'm not like mentally ill, like it's cool vibes. And I was like, well, I've just got to get on with it then, haven't I? But that didn't last long, so I sort of left the office. I was like, well, I've got nothing wrong with me, clearly I'm just being an idiot. So then I tried to carry on with my life as per normal, so I decided to run for JCR president because everyone does that. Like, what better way to cope when you're struggling than to run for a position of high office at your college? Anyway, so I ran for JCR president, and actually the week where that was happening was quite alright because I was just working so hard on the manifesto and the speech and like hustings and whatever, but it was like kind of alright, you know. I was like, okay, great, I'm running for JCR president, and like, not gonna lie, I've never really lost anything before, so I didn't expect to win because I was running against like a really, really good candidate, but I thought, oh, like, you know, let's give it a go, let's see what happens. And then I lost, and I remember exactly where I was sat. It was Friday, it was the Friday after, so what now, like third week, fourth week, I don't even know. And I was sat on my bed and we were about to go to the tutorial on the essay that I hadn't written, as I've said before, and I just lost it. And from there, you guys kind of know the story. I just spiraled, I really did, and I finally said to my mates at uni, like, I really think I need some like professional help. And the third years and the second years especially, you guys know who you are, you're absolute gems. Like, I literally like don't know what I would have done without you. Were so amazing and used their experience to help me out, and I ended up managing to get CBT. I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety, so I had CBT, and for a while I really just didn't think the CBT was doing anything. If I'm honest with you, I was literally like, this is such a load of bull. And then suddenly, I don't know what happened, like, I mean, I did my exams, and like that period of my life is one that I just don't really want to talk about. It was just awful. Like, I was through these exams, I was having all these compulsive thoughts, I was having like, I was in like a major depressive episode, like a slow depressive episode. So I'm like high functioning depression sort of mainly, but like that was like a low depressive episode, and I was just not even like, I was just not even there. I was just away with the friggin' fairies. I didn't even remember half of that term. Like, it was just so horrible. I was so down, and like my mates like tried to help, and like my cousin came up and tried to help, but I was just grasping onto these like little issues that, looking in hindsight, like I couldn't have controlled, but I was just trying to control like everything. And oh, anyway, so I finished my exams and I got home. That weekend was rubbish. I filmed that update video where I was obviously still very emotional because I was just exhausted. I was so tired. But around that time, like, was when therapy really started to, I just noticed a switch. So July was a month, like, it was alright, like, July was okay. I was very, like, just very sensitive, so like little things would just really tip me back into like that mental state, and I was still like really struggling with like the depression side of things. I was still just really down. I went to Mallorca, I went to Peru. Peru was lovely, and it was really good to like travel. I think travelling this summer, I'm so fortunate that I can travel, because travelling was something that really forced me to like reconsider the way that I was thinking about things, and like really forced me to just be present. But yeah, generally June, July, and like, I know I said in that video I was getting better, but like I definitely sort of dipped back down again over the summer. So like, from all intents and purposes, like, if you look at my Instagram, it looks like I've had a great year, but I really was struggling. I was still having panic attacks. I think my last panic attack was sort of like late July, early August, I think, and just was really down, I had like periods of disassociation still, obviously, and like whatever. And then suddenly, like, as I was wrapping up therapy, like the first like cycle of therapy, I was like, something just clicked in my brain, and suddenly like the cycle of thoughts became more like sporadic thoughts that I could be like, that's a stupid thought, shut it down, you know? I couldn't do that before. I'd get a stupid thought and then it would turn into a stupid scenario, which my brain would then process as reality. So imagine you're, I'm trying to think of a hypothetical one. Imagine you like envision someone that you love getting in a car accident, right? Rather than your brain being able to be like, that is a really hypothetical situation, it could happen but it's not very likely to happen, and you'll cross that bridge when you come to it if it does happen, your brain is like, oh my gosh, if I don't worry about this happening all the time now, and I don't think about it all the time, then it might happen. Like, it's more likely to happen if I don't worry about it. And your body feels the emotion of your family member being in a car crash as if it was happening. So you're basically going through like hundreds of car crashes without them even having happened. apply that to any scenario, that's exactly how it feels. So yeah, that was kind of what was happening. And then like over the summer, like August was alright. August was actually a really nice month. When I went to Portugal, I think that was kind of when, you know, things really started to look up. Even at Sitsi, like, it looks like I was having a really good time, but like all of the girls will tell you that I was still a bit of a wreck. I was crying like sporadically like the whole weekend, and it was very overwhelming because I just got off the plane from Peru, and like I really should have rested a bit more, and I didn't. But yeah, anyway, you know me, I'm all go, and I'm not gonna let my mental health like stop me, but I really should have let it stop me because I should have just chilled. But yeah, and then like around sort of the second half of August, personal things started to get a bit like wrapped up. I don't even know, like the issues that I was dealing with were kind of, I don't know, not subsiding, but there was literally nothing I could do about them at this point now, and they were kind of just done. And I was like, well, okay, and that kind of gave me the sort of like forward impetus I needed to like move into September. I went into September, I went to Berlin. Stunning, like honestly such a lovely month. Again, you know, like I'm not saying that they weren't without their ups and downs, because like there were definitely lows, but it was a really nice month in general. I really enjoyed it, and actually being in Berlin sort of by myself, obviously I had friends visit and like I met up with friends and stuff, but like generally having a month kind of in my own headspace, apart from everything that happened at the end, you've seen the story time, was really good for me, and really just gave me time to like reassess what was going on, and like, I don't know, kind of come back into myself. The disassociative episodes had stopped mainly by this point, which was so nice, and I finally felt what it was like to kind of be there, be present. Was so lovely, and you know, just to be able to enjoy my day without like zoning out for like half of it. And there's a difference between zoning out as in like not paying attention and zoning out as in like disassociating, obviously. And yeah, so October kind of melted into November, where no it didn't, wait, September kind of melted into October, and I went back to uni. This term was incredible. It really was. I don't know what it was, like just being back at uni without the exams. I was really worried actually. I was actually really worried because I was like, oh my gosh, is being back at uni gonna bring back all of that? Like all of cry. All of basically the first 6 months of the year, because they were just really bad. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I was so nervous going back to uni, guys. Like I was literally like the day I moved in, I was like I was like shaking. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go. Which is it sounds so dramatic, but like the place that I loved, LMH, like obviously was very much associated with like all of that mental ball that had been going on, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go. But from like within like 2 days I was like, oh, like it was like a weight off my shoulders. I was back, I was with people that loved and cared about me. Obviously I was in the summer, but like, you know, I was back in that environment, and I decided that I was just gonna enjoy it. I was just gonna enjoy the messy chaos. I wasn't gonna try and control anything, and a lot of the things that had been in my personal life for the first half of the year were not in the second half of the year. So unfortunately my family member did actually pass away, which was really sad, but it was, you know, it was easier to deal with than if it had have happened in June and July. And I did have a lot of personal problems in the second half of the year, but they were easier for me to weather and manage. Basically what I'm trying to say is that a lot of stuff happened to me in the first half of the year, but because of my mental state I just was not in a place to deal with them properly, and some of my biggest regrets this year come out of like how I behaved and how I dealt with things then, because I was just a mess, and like everything that I thought was logical and rational just obviously wasn't. But there's not really much I can do about that now, and like what's past is past, you know how it be. But yeah, so the second half of the year I literally loved Michaelmas term. It was incredible. My academic reports were actually the best that they've ever been. Oh yeah, I literally topped the year in my exams in June. Bearing in mind I literally don't remember them, I don't know what happened there, but having topped the year in my exams, like there was a lot of pressure on me when I got back to uni. Like all the tutors were like, oh my god Eve, like we're expecting so much of you this term. And usually, or like before I'd gone to therapy and before I'd got help, even like at A level, like that would have really, like I would have grabbed onto academics and not let go. But genuinely my academics took like quite a backseat this term. I really just enjoyed doing other things. I was working for Cherwell, went to loads of balls, parties, went to lots of nights out, spent so much time with my friends, just really relaxed and didn't worry about academics, and my reports were the best they've ever been. So I think actually when I try and relinquish some of that control, I do so much better. Who knew? But yeah, I loved this term. Things are looking back up for me personally. I was doing just generally better. I didn't have any disassociative episodes, which was amazing. I had a couple of nights where, you know, like everything kind of just yeeted back from the start of the year, and obviously like there are certain personal issues that, you know, I'm not really quite over, but that's not a mental health issue, that's just more like, you know, life just sort of throws you curveballs like that and whatever. But yeah, I really love this term. I really grew back into myself, and so many of my mates were like, you're so much more yourself than you've ever been, like you're so much more Eve. And we feel like the Eve that we had right at the start of first term of first year is now back, but better. And everyone's been saying to me how I'm a lot more easygoing now. I used to be quite like quite not uptight, or like a lot of people thought I was quite stuck up or like quite selfish, because I was so enveloped in what everyone was thinking of me. I'm so panicked about setting a foot wrong or being perceived in a wrong way that I would actually just like be quite selfish. Like all the way from like GCSE onwards, this is kind of like, and like I would be so controlling over academics. I would work way too hard. I would like, yeah, I would literally get so worked up about exam results and like convince myself that I'd failed when I know full well that I haven't, because I knew that like worrying about failing would be in a way like helping me to do better, which is so stupid looking back, but like that's what anxious minds do. And yes, I still have anxiety and depression, and like that's still there, like it's not gone, but it's more better managed. And the fact that so many of my friends and family have commented on how much better I am now, and just how much easier I am to be around, and how much more secure I seem within myself, makes me so happy. And I finally started to feel happy again for the first time this term. I finally started to feel those emotions of like happiness and contentedness again, which I really hadn't felt for like ages. Looking back, I'm feeling like this sort of built up over A level as well, and now I can channel that not only into my attitude to academia and just relax a bit and enjoy myself because I've got no exams this year. I can also, you know, be like that with friends and family. And yeah, the last couple of weeks have been a bit rough, I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know if it's just like the festive period, but you know, some of those like emotions like kind of came back, and I'm hoping that I'm not like slipping back into it. I'm doing everything I can to not slip back into it. My chest infection is back though, so that's going to get dealt with like ASAP Rocky. But yeah, it was really nice to be home with friends and family, and I think December's been a bit of an emotional one for me because this year just sort of slapped me in the face, like in so many ways. And it's been a really big wake up call for me. I'm not going to cry in this video because I really just don't want to. Yeah, looking back at 2019, I'm grateful that it happened. I wouldn't want to do it again. I'm not gonna lie. Even the second half of the year was so much better. There was so many dark days, and there was just a point where I was like, I don't really know if I can like carry on doing this for much longer. And I really dread to think what happened if I hadn't have sort of like had my breakdown soon after that. But I'm glad that I did, and I'm glad that I got help, and I feel like a better person and a more well-rounded person because of it. I don't think that the mental health issues will ever go away fully, entirely, but I can learn to live with them, and now that I know that they're there, it can help explain my behaviour. You know, amazing people have come into my life, amazing people have left my life, not so amazing people have left my life. I've, you know, travelled the world. I'm going to go in more into like the year in a positive light in my New Year's resolution video, because there were loads of things that I achieved this year that I'm really happy about. But yeah, so 2019 is one that I'm happy to see the back of, but also glad that it happened, because I think I was riding on such a high from like 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, but that high was like underpinned by like a lot of underlying problems that needed to be addressed at some point. Could I perhaps have addressed them without them like leaping out at me like that? Maybe, but they did, and it's happened, and I feel like I've grown into myself and that I'm a better version of myself now. Like, genuinely, I feel like I'm on the road to like becoming an adult and sort of growing into who I truly am, if that makes sense, without all of the insecurities and worries and whatever, which is so great. But yeah, I think that that's like basically everything that I wanted to say in this video. Yeah, it's gonna be really long, but I feel like I needed to talk about it and tell you guys, because you guys have kind of seen the Instagram highlights, and I am going to post a post about this on Instagram in a couple of days, but you have seen the highlights of my year and you've not really seen the lowlights that much. You've seen like a video where I talk about it and then I kind of just didn't talk about it again. So I really hope that this video kind of gave you a bit of an insight. I feel like I've probably missed really important things, but I've really tried to like cover everything. Please do donate to the fundraiser. I'd be really grateful if you could. I feel like it could be a really like amazing thing that we could do together, and I'd be really grateful if you could donate, because I feel like it's something that is really close to my heart and something that I know that if I had not have had my college at uni, I probably would have used and needed. But yeah, that's basically everything that I wanted to say in this video. Thank you so much for watching and listening. If you're struggling, then please do consider going and getting help. It's, you know, such an important thing to do. And yeah, that's everything. I'll see you very soon with a new video. Hopefully a more positive video. Bye guys. Mwah.